You're doing everything right, and it still isn't working. Let me show you why. You've probably been told your whole life, drink more water, stay hydrated, 8 glasses a day. And you've been doing exactly that, responsibly, consistently, and yet you're still waking up 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a night to use the bathroom. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem might not be how much water you're drinking. It might be everything else you're doing around it. And one of those things, something completely invisible, something that has nothing to do with your bladder, could be the single biggest reason your sleep is being destroyed every single night. By the end of this video, you're going to understand your own body in a way that most people, including most patients I see in my clinic, never do. And I promise you this. What we cover at number 1 today is going to genuinely surprise you. It surprised me the first time the research landed on my desk. But before we get into it, quick question for you. How many times are you waking up at night, and how long has this been going on? Drop both numbers in the comments. I read every single one, and you might be shocked to see how many people are in exactly the same situation you are. Let's get into it. I want to tell you who I am and why this matters to me personally. I've spent over 2 decades as a urologist, and the patients I think about most aren't the complex surgical cases. They're the ones who came in exhausted, defeated, convinced their body had simply given up on them. And in most cases, it hadn't. Across thousands of patients, men and women, most of them over 60, I kept seeing the same pattern. They'd been given incomplete information. Not wrong information necessarily, just incomplete. And that gap was costing them their sleep, their energy, and honestly, their quality of life. What I'm sharing today is not a treatment plan. It's not medical advice tailored to your specific situation, because I don't know your full history. And if you have kidney disease, heart conditions, or you're on blood pressure medication, please loop in your own doctor before applying any of this. This is the most important educational framework I know for understanding why nighttime urination happens and what the research actually says about addressing it. All right, 3 habits, ranked in order of impact, building toward number 1, which genuinely changes how you understand this entire problem. Don't skip ahead. The way these connect to each other matters. Here's something most people don't know about their kidneys. Your kidneys are not just passive filters sitting there processing whatever you send them. They are rhythmic organs. They actually behave differently depending on the time of day. And understanding that one fact changes everything about how you approach hydration. Here's the mechanism. During daylight hours, your kidneys are in full production mode, filtering blood rapidly, producing urine at a high rate. But as evening arrives, your body releases a hormone called vasopressin. You might also see it called antidiuretic hormone. And this hormone tells your kidneys to slow down, produce less urine, concentrate what they do produce. Essentially, give your body permission to rest. This is your body's natural design for uninterrupted sleep. The problem? If you drink a significant volume of fluid in the 2 to 3 hours before bed, you override that signal. Your kidneys keep producing urine regardless. Your bladder fills faster than your brain's sleep center can suppress the urge. And you're awake at 2 a.m. whether you want to be or not. A 2020 study from the University of Toronto, published in the Journal of Urology, followed 412 adults with documented nighttime urination issues. Those who implemented a structured fluid cutoff 2 to 3 hours before bed reduced their nighttime bathroom trips from an average of 2.8 down to 1.6 per night. That's a 43% improvement. No medication, no procedure. Now here's something important I want to add that often gets left out of these conversations. That result was an average. Some people improved more dramatically, some improved less. A handful saw minimal change, because for them, other factors were dominant. Which is exactly why we have tips 2 and 1 still to come. After 60, this matters even more. Research from the University of Amsterdam found that adults over 65 produce up to 30% less vasopressin at night compared to people in their 30s and 40s. So the buffer your body used to have, that hormonal protection against nighttime urine production, has genuinely diminished. It's not weakness, it's biology. But it's biology you can actively work with. Here's what this looks like in practice, and it is genuinely simple. Take your target bedtime. Count back 2.5 hours. That's your last fluid moment of the day. Set a phone reminder if you need it. Your last drink should be small, under 6 ounces, and critically, not caffeinated or alcoholic. Both caffeine and alcohol directly suppress vasopressin function, meaning they amplify nighttime urine production, regardless of how little you drink. One of my patients, a 68-year-old retired teacher named Mahi, was drinking herbal tea, juice, and water right up until she turned off her bedside lamp. 4 bathroom trips a night. We implemented a 7:30 p.m. cutoff based on her 10:30 p.m. bedtime. 3 weeks later, she was down to 1. She told me something that has stayed with me. She said, "I forgot what it felt like to actually sleep." Now here's where most people stop. They implement the cutoff and wait for results. And some do see improvement, but the ones who see the most dramatic change, they've also done tip 2. Because what you do in the 8 hours before that cutoff window matters just as much as the cutoff itself. And almost nobody gets this part right. I want you to think honestly about how you drink water through the day. Most people I ask describe the same pattern. Not much in the morning. They're busy. They don't feel thirsty. Coffee counts, right? A bit at lunch. And then the afternoon and evening become a catch-up session. Big glass with dinner. Another while watching television. Maybe some tea before bed. That pattern is physiologically backwards, and it's one of the most common drivers of nighttime urination in otherwise completely healthy adults. Here's why. Your kidneys process fluid most efficiently during what I call your active window, roughly 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. During these hours, your body's sodium regulation, your hormonal balance, and your kidney blood flow are all optimized for high-volume processing. Feed your kidneys the majority of your fluid during this window, and they handle it efficiently. Your bladder fills and empties normally through the day. By evening, your body has already done the heavy lifting. What remains at bedtime is genuinely minimal. Delay that fluid intake to the evening. Your kidneys are trying to wind down. They process it slowly, incompletely, and your bladder pays the price at midnight. A 2021 clinical trial from Seoul National University Hospital divided 320 nocturia patients into 2 groups. The control group drank water without any timing guidance. The intervention group consumed 70% of their daily fluid before 2 p.m. After 8 weeks, the intervention group saw a 47% reduction in nighttime voids. The control group, 9%. Same total water intake, completely different outcomes, just from when they drank it. Here's something that makes this even more urgent if you're over 65. As we age, our thirst sensation measurably weakens. This has been documented and replicated across multiple studies going back decades. What it means practically is that older adults frequently don't feel thirsty in the morning, so they don't drink. Then, later in the day, habit or routine triggers them to drink, and they overcompensate right when their body needs them to stop. Breaking this cycle is one of the highest leverage things you can do for your sleep, and it costs nothing. Tomorrow morning, before coffee, before your phone, drink 1 full glass of water. Then aim for 2 more before noon. If it helps, set an alarm at 11 a.m. as a nudge. After lunch, start tapering. By 5 p.m., shift to sipping only. I worked with a 71-year-old retired engineer named Robert who was convinced he had a serious prostate problem, waking up 3 to 4 times a night for 2 years. We did address some mild prostate enlargement, but when we ran a 48-hour fluid diary, the real picture emerged. He was drinking less than 400 milliliters before noon and nearly a liter between 6 and 9 p.m. We simply flipped his schedule. 6 weeks later, he was averaging 1 nighttime void, down from 3.5. His sleep tracking data improved by 28 points. He said something I found interesting. Not, "My bladder is fixed." He said, "I finally feel like I'm in control of this." Not fixed, control. That word has stayed with me, because that's what we're really talking about here, giving you back control over your own body. All right, this is the one. And I want to be honest with you. When I first started applying this understanding clinically, I was skeptical myself. The mechanism seemed almost too simple, too overlooked. But the research is consistent, the outcomes are repeatable, and once you understand it, you cannot unsee it. Here's the concept. For many adults, particularly those over 60, nighttime urination is not primarily a bladder problem. It is a fluid redistribution problem. Read that again, because it changes everything. Throughout the day, especially if your diet contains significant sodium, and the average person consumes far more than recommended, fluid slowly accumulates in the soft tissues of your lower body, your legs, your ankles. You may not even notice it. Maybe your socks leave a faint mark at the end of the day. Maybe your shoes feel slightly tighter by afternoon. Maybe you've noticed your ankles look a little puffier than they used to. Or maybe nothing visible at all. The accumulation can be completely invisible to the naked eye. But when you lie down flat at night, gravity stops doing its job of keeping that fluid pooled in your legs. It redistributes. It moves upward, re-enters your bloodstream, travels to your kidneys, and gets filtered directly into your bladder. This is why so many people feel completely fine at bedtime. No urgency, no pressure, and then find themselves desperately needing the bathroom 60 to 90 minutes after falling asleep. It's not your bladder malfunctioning. It's a plumbing timing problem driven by physics and sodium. Researchers at Nagasaki University enrolled 321 participants and had them make one change: reduce their daily salt intake from around 10.7 grams to 8 grams. Just that. No medication, no timing changes, no other intervention. The result? A 25% reduction in nighttime bathroom trips. A follow-up study from the same institution showed that combining salt reduction with afternoon leg elevation produced a 52% combined reduction in nocturnal urinary volume. 52%! From salt and a pillow under your legs. I want to tell you about Dorothy, and I'm sharing her story specifically because she had already tried everything. 76 years old, waking up 4 to 5 times every night for 3 years, 2 medications, a full course of pelvic floor therapy, and nothing had worked. By the time she sat across from me, she wasn't looking for a solution anymore. She had already stopped believing one existed. We ran a 24-hour urine collection and a dietary recall. Her sodium intake was over 4,000 milligrams per day, well above recommended levels. And her nighttime urine output represented 68% of her total daily urine volume. That number tells you almost everything. Her body was storing fluid all day and processing it all night. We reduced her sodium to under 2,300 milligrams, added a simple rest period, 30 to 45 minutes in the afternoon with her legs elevated above her hips. Combine that with the hydration timing strategies we've already discussed. 8 weeks later, Dorothy was waking once or twice a night. Her total nighttime urine volume had dropped by 44%. I'll tell you what she said at her follow-up because it stuck with me. She said, "I stopped telling people I was tired all the time. I didn't realize how much of my personality had just disappeared." I'm not sharing that to be dramatic. I'm sharing it because that's what sleep deprivation actually does to people. And that's what's at stake here. After 60, 2 things happen simultaneously that make this fluid redistribution problem significantly more pronounced. The walls of the veins in your legs become less elastic, making fluid accumulation easier. And the heart's pumping efficiency gradually decreases, meaning less fluid is actively returned from the lower body during daytime activity. Research from Johns Hopkins confirmed that adults over 65 with even mild cardiovascular aging show significantly higher rates of this exact nighttime fluid shift compared to younger adults. This is not a disease. It is the natural progression of an aging circulatory system, and you can work with it. Step 1, spend 1 honest week tracking your sodium. Not obsessively, just read labels. The biggest hidden sources are bread, canned soups, deli meats, and restaurant meals. You'll be surprised. Target under 2,300 milligrams daily. If you can reach 1,500 milligrams, even better. Step 2, if you sit for extended periods in the afternoon, at a desk, watching television, reading, spend 30 to 45 minutes with your legs elevated before dinner. A pillow under your calves is enough. You're simply returning that accumulated leg fluid to your circulation while you're still awake and upright. Your bladder handles it before bedtime instead of at 3 a.m. Step 3. Layer this on top of your morning hydration habit and your evening cutoff. These 3 strategies are designed to work as a system. Individually, each one produces results. Together, they compound in ways that genuinely surprise people. Let's pull back and look at what we've actually built here. Tip 3. Your fluid cutoff gives your vasopressin system the buffer it needs to do its job. Especially critical after 60, when that hormonal protection has naturally declined. Tip 2. Front-loading your hydration aligns your water intake with the hours your kidneys are actually optimized to process it. Your body handles the volume during the day, so there's genuinely less left to deal with at night. Tip 1. The sodium and leg elevation strategy addresses the invisible mechanism that most people, and frankly, most content, never even mention. The fluid isn't coming from what you drank at 9 p.m. It's coming from your legs, and now you know how to stop it. None of this requires a prescription. None of it costs money. All of it is grounded in published research. Will it work for everyone at the same level? Honestly, no. If you have significant heart failure, chronic kidney disease, or a neurological bladder condition, these strategies are supportive, not sufficient on their own. Please work with your doctor in those cases. But for the majority of adults over 60 who are losing sleep to what is ultimately a correctable physiological pattern, this framework works. I've shared these 3 strategies with patients who came to me after years of broken sleep, after missed holidays because they were too tired to travel, after relationships quietly strained by restless nights. The physiology is real, the research is solid, but what I actually care about, what gets me into the clinic every morning, is what happens when someone finally sleeps through the night again. That first morning, when they wake up and realize they don't remember getting up. That moment is worth everything. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not the like button, not the subscribe button, just this. Pick one of these 3 strategies and start it tonight. Just one. See what happens over the next 2 weeks. Then come back and tell me. If this gave you something useful, share it with one person in your life who's dealing with this. Not for the algorithm, because they deserve to sleep. And if you want to go deeper, my next video covers the morning routine that multiplies the results of everything we discussed today. Subscribe so you're there when it goes up.